found a program in the south of Thailand, on an island, actually, of all things. All good things start with the Google search, or potentially, if you're humble and if you know what you're looking for. Otherwise, you're going to spend a few hours looking at dumb shit that you don't really want to. It can go south. But for me, I had an intention of what I wanted to find. And I found this wonderful program on the island of Koh Phangan, which is the third biggest island in Thailand. And I really didn't know anything about the island, but I was all for the program, which is a meditation, yoga, tantra retreat center called Samakaruna. So I do recommend anyone going to Thailand and interested in growing themselves personally to do it. It's not like a spa. It's not a VIP, rich sort of experience, which is not what I was wanting to find. I wanted to find community. And just becoming interested and humble with it, I had a good feeling. I took a training so that I could volunteer. It was a 4-week, 1 month sort of endeavor that I would take on. But we were financially comfortable for the summer. I looked into prices. They were reasonable to live on the island for a month. And so that's where we eventually ended up, from Vietnam to Koh Phangan. So what I really uncovered was that it's not a place for ego. It's not a place to beat your chest, to show off. It was a place to basically take the cloak off, take the mask off, take your makeup off, to become vulnerable. Maybe looking a little disgusting in the morning because it was, an all-day endeavor. You get sweaty, you get hot, you do yoga, and then you continue on with volunteer work. But I have to say it was a beautiful experience getting to meet people from over 30 different countries on the small island of about, maybe 20,000 people.
What are, your 3 top takeaways from that particular experience that you can, or that you have thus far, brought with you sort of in your little, little knapsack or tool bag? Yeah. So what is the gratitude? 3? That's right. What are your 3 biggest takeaways?
So it's funny because during my 3rd week at the meditation center, I asked one of the artists, he was also a student there. They were making this mandala. And I asked this guy, what is your experience of this place? In 3 words. Only use 3 words. I can't remember what he said, but he was a really fascinating guy. I could talk to him for hours and hours. And believe me, everyone did. They came up to him. Young guy. He's from America, I think Seattle or so. But then, of course, he turned it on me as well. He said, what are your top 3 words for being in this experience? And what I said, without doubt, without question, I said community, vulnerability, and openness and appreciation. Community, because when I came to that island, I had, as I would normally have, like this ego that I'm supposed to be presenting myself in a certain way. With vulnerability, I was not always able to express that. By the time the 2nd week came, the community dance came along. That 1st week kind of just shredded that sense of what I'm supposed to be. So that I was really loose with that dance. The 2nd community meeting, I was able to move my hands. While I was talking to people that I had no idea. They were either new volunteers or they were community members. They were teachers. They were, the instructors, the leaders of the program. There's also another practice where before you set the intention for a class or a meeting, you look each other deep in the eye. I didn't realize how uncomfortable I was. In a sense, I did, because I never actually had done that in a way that someone else saw me. Whenever I stared at someone else, it was like Either they're very beautiful, a beautiful girl, like just staring, like, wow. In my head, it was always a fantasy of what I was thinking, what I was believing, how I could interact with them. But again, that second week was peeling that away. I'm seen, I'm heard when they're talking with me. There's not being on your phone. There's not being sidetracked. There's not that sense in business where they look at you, look away, look at you, look away. If you're interesting, then they'll look at you. Okay, I want something from you. And then say thank you and go somewhere else. There was none of that. There was just, I'm here, I'm with you, and I appreciate your presence. For me, that's where community, vulnerability, and presence came in. Presence and acceptance.
So when you talk about the feminine, it isn't being effeminate or being girly. It's tapping into the feminine energy. You know, masculine energy is more when we're taking charge. Ego comes in a bit more. I mean, it does with feminine as well, but not as much. It isn't that nurturing side, that vulnerable side, that emotional side. You know, it's just like take charge, get it done. And it isn't. Neither one is good or bad. We all need both of them, and we all need to learn how to balance them and when to put those particular energies to the front, as it were, or to tap into those particular energies to communicate with the people around us, because it also has such a lot to do with community and interpersonal relationships and that sort of thing. So I just wonder if you want to talk a little bit about the energies, because I think that's an important distinction to make, that it's okay to have that feminine energy expressed.
Well, and just to your point, Julie, I think that what you said, you know, especially in the Western society, and this is something that I feel drawn to, you know, sort of, it seems like it keeps coming up for conversation, and largely all that it means is that you were just a more comfortable human being in your skin. It's not to suggest that you are one or the other, and having that yin and yang, and also knowing which one will get what you know, get what it is that you need. And so largely, if you see a man, right, taking charge and just doing the to-do list and sort of living in that very black and white area, because that's kind of how I identify it, right? And so, but where's that gray? And tapping into that gray and more of that feminine energy only embodies you and helps you live and be in your own skin, as opposed to just being one particular way.
Yeah. Or doing things, you're present and feeling things.
Right.
That's right. Well, that's largely what Tantra is about, is just to really be relating within yourself and to understand those two energies between masculine and feminine, and that they intermix, or they are polarities, but they're also oneness. And you can express those two and that oneness together, depending. The first Tantra class that I was in, and it might not be what the common person thinks of Tantra. Basically, it's just connecting and being in touch with yourself, your emotions, your expression, and to be really looking at, well, the other person through yourself. The first Tantra class I was in, again, I was wanting to be this masculine of just analyzing, of being very particular, of, you know, having this strong sense, muscular stature, you know, even with the dancing, it was uncomfortable because, you know, the creative, the nurturing, that's more feminine energies. The one of soft touch is very feminine. Masculine is, let's get this done. Let's get this done. Let's do the work, the process, the intention, the forward movement. Generally, where women, feminine energy, but women carry this much further than most men, is that let's do a bit more settling in. Let's understand the meaning of it. Let's nurture this feeling or this intention and where this is going. And let's have a more holistic view of, you know, where this is coming from, where the emotions are coming from, the feelings, the moods.
Yeah, creative. And what you're saying, Johnny, just to kind of break that down, because as I'm hearing it, I'm I'm sort of identifying it with, you know, it's almost like romance versus sex, right? Romance takes a lot more to it. It's leading up to sex, but it's not the reason.
No.
Do you know what I mean? It embodies so much more. It embodies, you know, sensualness. It embodies, you know, music and mood and touching and feeling and, you know, that sort of heart-centered connection, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Completely the heart-centered.
Yeah.
Heart-centered naturally is more feminine driven.
Right.
And it's more expressive.
Of course. And that's not to suggest that, you know, any man listening to this who thinks to himself, wow, I really love romance. I applaud you because you are more in your feminine energy at those moments. And it's a beautiful thing and it should be celebrated. It's not, you know, good or bad. It's just sort of having that ability to oscillate between the two and knowing, you know, when you need to just do versus feel, you know?
Right.